Hi, Roland is the name networking the game. Once again, welcome to my YouTube channel. We're learning the A to Z of network devices configuration, verification, and troubleshooting is guaranteed, as well as tips and tricks on how to authoritatively take full charge of your network devices. Now recall that in my previous video, my boss in my firm, PSL.com, after asking me to configure a newly acquired router, the Madrid router, to allow a newly employed staff, Hernandez, to communicate with older staff, I used the routing protocol called RIP version 2 to achieve this. In that case, let's assume that the routers might not necessarily be Cisco proprietary. In today's tutorials, based on the fact that we are assuming that all routers are from Cisco, I'll show you how to achieve the same goal using Eigrp, Enhanced Interior Gateway Routing Protocol. It's also a dynamic routing protocol similar to RIP, but it's an enhanced version of Eigrp, which was actually from Cisco as well, but currently obsolete. So that's no longer supported on Cisco devices. At the end of today's session, you learn how to implement Eigrp on Cisco routers, how to verify the routing table with Eigrp running, the benefits of features of Eigrp, such as, since it's a hybrid protocol, it combines the features of both link state routing protocols and distance vector routing protocols. It's not limited by a hop count of 15 like RIP. It supports VLSM and CIDR. It supports multiple network layer protocols, example IP, AppleTalk. It supports both manual and automatic route summarization. It supports both equal and unequal cost path load balancing. It uses a sophisticated metric made up of bandwidth, delay, reliability, load, and MTU. It supports partial bounded triggered updates. It also converges very fast, and it's 100% loop free. Without further ado, let's begin. Since we'll be using same topology as last session, we'll just continue from an already set up topology. Okay, we've already given this host name as well as giving the IP addresses. So that's the basic configuration that we've configured already. So what we'll do in this particular session is to go into these routers and enable our Eigrp. Okay, so as usual, I'll log into the Roam router via Julio. Okay, through the terminal. All right, and enable, configure terminal. Now, all you need to do when you are configuring Eigrp is to enter the command router Eigrp. Okay, then you enter an autonomous system number. Now, the autonomous system number, or AS number, is actually a number that is given by the service provider, and it identifies a particular autonomous system, an enterprise, so to say. So it has to be unique for each organization. Okay, and it can range from a value of 1 to about 1,000, to about 65,535. In this case, we are using 100, and it must be the same on all routers that are meant to be part of the same autonomous system. Okay, so I'll go ahead and enter my network statement. Network, I'll advertise directly connected networks to these routers. The first one connecting to the Julio PC is 172.16.1.0. I'll hit my enter key and advertise the next one, which is 192.168.10.0. Similar to RIP, I'll enter the no auto summary. And I explained the reason for this command in my previous class. Okay, now I'm done. Eigrp configuration is very easy and straightforward. You can see that it's similar to the RIP configuration, with the exception of the fact that we entered an autonomous system number. Okay, I'll have to go to my privilege configuration mode and save. I'm done with this router because I've already, mind you, I've already given this router an IP address. So the basics have already been configured, which I suppose you already know how to do. You can always refer to my previous class. Okay, now I'll go into the next router. Okay, the London router, and enter similar configuration. Okay, enable config terminal router Eigrp, the same autonomous system number 100, network 192.168.10.0, directly connected networks, okay, to this router 20.0. Remember, we have 3 different networks connected to this router, so don't forget to enter the third one connected to the router and connecting to the Jones PC 172.168.2.0. Okay, then no auto summary. Remember to save. Okay, now I'll go to the third router. Once again, enable configure terminal router Eigrp 100, network 192.168.20.0, network 172.16.3.0. No auto summary. Okay, and I'm done. Now let's verify our configuration by pinging from Julio to Hernandez. Okay, so I'll log into the Julio PC. Okay, and go to the command prompt and ping. Now Hernandez PC is having an address of 172.16.3.2. Okay, you can see that it's going. Okay, so that means I can Julio can communicate with Hernandez. Okay, now before we continue, let's pause for a few seconds. Click on the subscribe button so as to get notified on my subsequent videos. Okay, now let's verify the routing table. Now I'll go to the London router and show IP route. Now, if you show IP route, you should be able to see all the networks that are having D. Okay, those networks are not directly connected but connected via Eigrp. Now, I told you about the codes used to identify these routing protocols. C is for directly connected. As you can see, there's a summary of the entire codes here. S is for static, which we saw in our previous classes. Okay, then R is for RIP, which we saw in the last class. In the case of Eigrp, you might have been thinking that it will be E, but no, it's D, so take note. So what that means is that all these networks that are having D in front of them are viewed by Eigrp, or are learned via Eigrp. As you can see from this second router, I can see 172.16.1.0. That's the network address. Now, this, the value you are seeing here, this 90, is actually the administrative distance value for Eigrp. In the previous class, that of RIP, I told you, was 120. Now, it shows the trustworthiness of a path to a network. The lower the administrative distance value, the more trustworthy that path is. And so Eigrp is more trustworthy than RIP, since it's having a lower administrative distance value. What that means is that when you have a network topology where you have both Eigrp and RIP running, this router will prefer to select the Eigrp route. Okay, then this value is actually the metric. In Eigrp, it calls it as the feasible distance. Okay, now that's the best part. Now this value is actually computed by the router using Eigrp, taking into cognizance the bandwidth, delay, reliability, load, and MTU. I told you that Eigrp uses 5 parameters to compute its metric. There's actually a formula used to come at come at this value, but in subsequent class probably I might tell you about that. Okay, then this is the next top device to that destination. Okay, the next top IP address, then through the outgoing interface. So you can see for every network that is not directly connected to this router, you see something similar. For directly connected, you see it being preceded by C. Take notes. Okay, again, to explain the various features briefly, Eigrp is not limited by a hop count of 15 like RIP. Okay, what that means is that if you have a network topology with routers above 15, probably 16, 20, the 15th to 20th router, the 16th to 20th router will not be able to communicate when you are using RIP. That's a limitation. And so if you have a larger network made up of probably even up to 100 routers, it's advisable for you to configure Eigrp. Eigrp is a very powerful routing protocol, but take note, it can only work on Cisco devices. Okay, it's a hybrid routing protocols, which means it combines both features from linked state routing protocols and distance vector routing protocols. I love to categorize routing protocols into 3: linked state like OSPF, and distance vector routing protocols like RIP, then hybrid routing protocols like Eigrp. So take note. Now it supports multiple network layer protocols. This is a very unique feature of Eigrp. Eigrp has model to support IP, AppleTalk, etc. No other routing protocols apart from Eigrp has this capability. It supports VLSM and CIDR. As you can see, I used various or variable length subnet mask in this my topology. Just like what I told you, you have /30, /28, just like as what I told you when we studied RIP, version 2 can support this, but RIP version 1 will never support a network made up of various or variable length subnet mask. It supports both manual and automatic route summarization. Yeah, we all know the relevance of route summarization. And I told you in my previous class that RIP has the ability to auto-summarize across the classful boundary. And I explained this. Okay? Now this could cause problems like suboptimal routing and so many other problems. Now Eigrp, in as much as it can support the automatic route summarization just like RIP, it takes it a bit further to support manual route summarization. That gives us the capability to disable the automatic route summarization and manually summarize as desired. Wonderful. Now it uses sophisticated metric, like I said initially, made up of bandwidth, delay, reliability, and load. Okay? It's the only one that has this capability, as well as Eigrp. So take note. Okay? Again, it supports partial bounded triggered update. Now this allows it to conserve both network and router resources like CPU, memory, and bandwidth because of the nature of the kind of update it sends. Okay? It supports multicast. It doesn't broadcast its update like RIP, and so it helps to conserve bandwidth. Now Eigrp converges fastly. What that means is that should there be any kind of disruption in the network, like failed networks or routes or added network, Eigrp can converge very, very fast. Lightning speed. Okay? Okay? Then again, it's 100% loop free. There's nothing like routing loops in Eigrp. Okay? Good. Now, this is where we'll call it a day. As a recap, we've enabled Eigrp on our routers, verified the routing table on a router, pinged from end to end to ensure communication, and I've explained the Eigrp features that make it unique. I'll dedicate a video later to how to intensively verify and troubleshoot Eigrp. Hope you've learned something today as you embark on this mind-blowing journey of unlimited treasures. If so, kindly subscribe and drop comments below. In addition, for further and more comprehensive training and consultation, chat me up via the email provided. Thanks and arrivederci.